Dear Leo, my radiant soul on fire. If you've landed here, I need you to know something right away. This is not random. In a universe where everything is energy and nothing is coincidence, you didn't just stumble upon this video. You were guided here. And yes, the timing is precise. A last-minute miracle is on its way to you, and the golden door you've been praying for is already unlocking. Right now, you might be feeling something shifting beneath the surface, like your heart knows something is coming, even if your mind can't explain it. Maybe you've had signs, recurring dreams, angel numbers, a sudden rush of intuition, or that aching sense that you're on the edge of something big but invisible. I'm here to confirm it. You are. And it's real. Leo, you are ruled by the sun. Your light is not borrowed, it is born. But for too long, you've been dimming that light to carry others, to meet expectations, or to hold back because of fear. The universe has seen your quiet strength, your late-night tears, your moments of silent courage. And now, it is responding not with another test, but with a breakthrough. Imagine this, a golden doorway, glowing, waiting. But here's the catch: only you can walk through it. No one can push you. No one can tell you it's safe. You have to choose. You have to trust that what's waiting for you is not chaos. It's alignment. It's the version of your life that you thought might never be possible until now. So I ask you, Leo, are you ready to receive it? Comment below with the first angel number that comes to your heart. That's your confirmation. That's your soul saying, yes. I claim this energy. And don't just type it, feel it. Believe it. Let it echo out into the world like a roar only a true Leo could make. But before we dive deeper into what's unfolding for you, let me take a moment to offer something very personal: my gratitude. Truly, thank you for being here. Every like, every comment, every subscribe helps this channel Eternal Mindfulness carry these messages to the hearts that need them most. Your presence here means more than you know. You're not just watching, you're co-creating this moment with me. Your support fuels this sacred space, and it's because of souls like yours that I'm able to deliver what I hope will be a message that changes something inside you. And I promise, Leo, you'll want to stay until the very end of this reading. What the universe is about to reveal to you isn't just beautiful, it's jaw-dropping. So now, I ask from the deepest part of my spirit, what did you feel in your heart that pulled you here today? Was it curiosity? Was it longing? Or was it something unexplainable, that sense that something divine has already begun to move? Whatever it was, you're here now. And that means the miracle is already in motion. Stay with me, Leo. Let's walk through that golden door together. Leo, you've carried so much. Not just the expectations others placed on you, but the invisible weight of your own desire to lead, to inspire, to shine without flaw. For years, you may have mistaken strength for self-sacrifice, courage for control, and power for perfection. But what if true radiance doesn't come from holding everything together, but from letting go of what was never yours to hold in the first place? When we look at the Fool, it doesn't represent foolishness, it represents the sacred courage of beginning again, without the baggage of needing to know where the road leads. It's the energy of release. And for you, Leo, it arrives like a breath of fresh air in a world that has constantly asked you to perform. But the universe is not applauding your performance, it's asking for your presence. The Six of Wands, your traditional card of victory, doesn't cancel that truth, it amplifies it. It reminds us that the deepest form of triumph is internal, not when others cheer for you, but when you no longer need their cheer to feel worthy. And with the world closing this trio, the message is unmistakable. A chapter is ending, not because you've failed, but because you've outgrown it. You've become too large for the space you've tried to fit into. Letting go, however, is never easy, especially for Leo, whose pride is sacred and whose sense of responsibility often feels boundless. But here's the deeper truth: surrender is not weakness. It is not giving up. It is allowing what already wants to emerge, to finally rise. Like the breath that is most powerful not in the inhale, but in the gentle exhale that follows, surrender is how you create space for something new to enter. And maybe that's where the wisdom of the old ways comes, in the quiet understanding that clinging creates suffering. That freedom doesn't arise from pushing life, but from becoming so still inside that life begins to move through you. In that stillness, there is power. Not the kind that demands attention, but the kind that draws miracles because there is no resistance left. It's like watching water find its way through stone, not with force, but with flow. You are not here to carry every burden. You are here to be light. And to shine, sometimes you must first unclench your hands, not because what you held was unworthy, but because it has simply served its purpose. Whether it was an old version of success, an outdated relationship dynamic, or the belief that you must always be the strong one, now is the time to loosen your grip. You do not need to control everything to still command the room. In fact, the more you let go of what you can't control, the more magnetic you become to what's truly meant for you. So breathe. Just for 5 minutes each morning, let the world be what it is while you return to yourself. Give yourself one day, even half a day, where you don't strive to fix, lead, or explain. Just be. Write down 3 things you're ready to release, and instead of fearing what will replace them, say aloud, I don't need to control everything to still shine. Because you don't. And your light, Leo, is not something you need to prove. It's something you were born to remember. And if you feel something stirring in your chest as you read this, that's not coincidence either. That's your spirit nodding yes. So stay here with me. Because this is only the beginning of what you're about to become. Leo, after everything you've carried and begun to release, there is now a quiet voice rising within you, a soft whisper that doesn't demand attention but waits for your stillness to be heard. That's where we begin now. The presence of the High Priestess and the Empress speaks not of outside influence, but of inner remembrance. And though these archetypes often take the form of people, perhaps a mother, a grandmother, or a wise woman from your past, they also symbolize the deeper knowing that has lived inside you since the beginning. For years, you've played roles: the strong one, the performer, the protector, the achiever. And while there's strength in that, there's also exhaustion. These cards arrive like a gentle hand on your back, not pushing, just reminding you that you no longer need to perform in order to belong. You no longer need to be impressive to be worthy. There's a different kind of strength emerging now, one rooted not in validation, but in authenticity. The Empress tells you, you were already enough before anyone ever praised you. The High Priestess tells you, your truth has always been waiting for your permission to rise. This kind of wisdom doesn't speak loudly. It doesn't need to. Like water settling into stillness after a storm, it becomes clear only when you stop trying to stir the surface. And in that quiet, you'll begin to feel what's always been true, that the version of you the world is waiting for is the version that feels most like home. There's a teaching in ancient thought that says the greatest suffering comes not from the world around us but from the endless effort to be someone we are not. The path of peace, then, isn't found in fixing the world, but in returning to our original nature, the one that was never broken. That's what this moment is asking of you. To stop shaping yourself for others and start listening to the shape your own life wants to take. And alongside this rise of the feminine principle, the King of Wands appears not as a contradiction, but as a complement. He is the fire that protects, the clarity that leads, the vision that no longer seeks approval to be realized. This may represent a guiding male energy from your pasta father, grandfather, or mentor who helped shape your courage. Or perhaps it's an echo of the power that has been waiting in you all along, now stepping forward not to dominate, but to direct. The balance between the sacred feminine and sacred masculine in you is aligning, and when that alignment occurs, action flows not from ego, but from truth. You might start seeing certain signs repeating, numbers like 19 or 88, dreams filled with color, or memories resurfacing with strange clarity. These are not random. They're invitations. The number 19 often signals completion and rebirth, while 88 vibrates with the energy of abundance earned, not given. If you've been feeling on the edge of something financial, creative, emotional, this is a confirmation. Yes, the breakthrough is near. And yes, you are ready for it. Colors, too, begin to take on more meaning now. Gold bronze to remind you of your innate royalty, ruby red to awaken the heart's power, and sapphire blue to keep your vision grounded in wisdom. Don't just wear them, feel into them. Let them be mirrors, reflecting what already lives in you: leadership without force, love without fear, and clarity without doubt. You don't have to push anymore, Leo. You only have to remember. And as you remember, the life you were meant to live begins to unfold, not because you forced it, but because you finally became still enough to allow it. And now, Leo, as your light grows steadier and you begin to remember who you truly are, something else begins to shift: your relationship with abundance. Not the fleeting kind that comes and goes like weather, but the kind that grows from within. The appearance of the Queen of Pentacles, the Magician, and the Ten of Pentacles together forms a message that is both deeply grounding and powerfully affirming. These aren't signs of luck. They're signs of alignment. Of energy that has been building beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to materialize. For a long time, you may have poured so much of yourself into others, hoping that if you gave enough, proved enough, shone brightly enough, you'd finally be rewarded. But the truth is, true wealth does not arrive as a reward for overextension. It arrives when we stop tying our worth to how much we give away. And Leo, you've given so much. You've earned this next chapter, not by chasing it but by becoming ready for it. The Queen of Pentacles embodies both generosity and boundaries. She is abundant because she knows where to give and where to hold. She reminds us that caring for others begins by caring for ourselves, our time, our space, our energy. The invitation here is to take your power back from every place where you've overgiven. Not with bitterness, but with quiet clarity. To ask, where have I been leaking energy trying to earn approval? And what would happen if I reclaimed that power and poured it into building something sustainable, something mine? Then there's the magician, representing not just manifestation, but conscious co-creation. He is the reminder that you already have the tools. You don't need to wait for the perfect timing, the perfect partner, or the perfect plan. What you need is to begin. Even a single step sends a signal to the universe. Not because it begs for help, but because it declares, I am ready to receive. This readiness is not passive. It's a quiet power. A belief that you are the source, not the seeker. Like the teaching that says all suffering arises when we forget that we already hold the key. That we are not separate from what we seek. When we align our actions with that remembering, when we speak, choose, spend, and move from the knowing that we are already worthy, abundance flows without struggle. You might be guided now to revisit something you once set aside, a skill, a business idea, a creative offering. Something you loved but once thought wouldn't make sense financially. But what if the timing simply wasn't aligned back then? What if it's ripening now? There may also be practical shifts to explore new income streams, financial mentorship, investments you'd previously overlooked. The Ten of Pentacles suggests that these aren't short-term fixes, but long-term legacies. This is wealth meant to support not just your future, but your healing, your purpose, and the people you love. So take a moment today to reflect. Where are you open to receiving more? And just as importantly, where are you ready to stop struggling and start trusting? You can even write it down: 3 ways abundance wants to meet you now, and say aloud, I am not asking for permission. I am a magnetic field for wealth. I do not chase, I attract. Not because it's a spell, but because the moment you stop trying to deserve it is the moment you allow it. And if you feel something stirring, a subtle yes inside your chest, that is your cue. Comment below and affirm it. I am ready to receive the golden door. This isn't about ego. It's about readiness. And Leo, you are ready financially, emotionally, energetically. What's coming next is not a handout. It's a return. A recognition. A reward, not for being impressive but for finally being true. Leo, now that the tides of self-worth and abundance have begun to turn in your favor, another layer of your life begins to awaken, the part of you that longs not just to shine, but to be seen. Truly seen. The part of you that has so much fire to give, but that has grown cautious from having that flame misunderstood or taken for granted. This moment, as revealed through the cards before us, marks the softening of old fears and the ignition of a new kind of connection, one that doesn't diminish your light, but reflects it back to you with warmth and clarity. The Two of Cups appears not only as a symbol of romance, but as a mirror. It speaks of meeting someone or something in your life that finally matches your energy, not because you both are identical, but because there is mutual recognition. This is not about chasing validation. It's about entering a space where your heart is met with equal depth, equal sincerity, and equal desire to grow. And for Leo, whose love burns bold and brave, that kind of mutuality is not just desired, it's essential. Following this, the Six of Cups brings in the memory of sweetness. Not nostalgia for the past in a clinging sense, but the return of a feeling you once trusted, ease, playfulness, the ability to be your unguarded self. For some, this may come in the form of a literal persona connection from the past or someone who evokes a past life familiarity. For others, it may come as an emotional pattern finally closing, a wound finally softening, so you can love again without armor. There's a teaching in the old texts that says we suffer not because love disappears, but because we cling to how we believe it should appear. But when we release those expectations, love returns in forms we never imagined, yet always needed. Then comes the Ace of Wands, fresh, bold, and alive. This card doesn't whisper. It invites. It asks you to step forward with curiosity again. To let your heart be curious about what is possible now, not based on who hurt you or who didn't choose you, but based on who you've become in the process. The Ace of Wands is love reborn from passion, not performance. It's connection initiated not by fear of being alone, but by the desire to co-create something meaningful, something alive. Whether you're in a relationship or walking alone for now, this energy asks the same of you. Are you willing to open, just enough, for something new to reach you? Not perfect love. Not cinematic love. But real, present love, the kind that honors your fire, your voice, and your evolution. If you're partnered, this might be the moment when a conversation changes everything, a truth spoken, a vulnerability revealed, a deepening of commitment. If you're solo, this may be the moment you stop waiting for someone to complete you and begin welcoming someone who complements who you already are. Here's something gentle yet powerful you can do: write a letter to the love you wish to receive. Don't write as if you're hoping they might come. Write as if they're already here, and you're just catching up to that reality. Describe what it feels like to be met fully. Describe the ease, the laughter, the peace. Read it aloud to yourself before bed. Not as fantasy, but as alignment. Love, for Leo, is never about shrinking. It is never about giving your power away. Real love is the kind that amplifies you, that honors your courage, and that allows your fire to burn without fear. So if you feel even a tiny flicker inside you of hope, of longing, of readiness, honor that. Because the flame in your heart was never meant to burn alone. It was meant to guide someone home. As you continue to soften the grip of old narratives and open your heart to connection not only with others but with yourself, you might notice something quietly, powerfully beginning to shift inside you. It's not loud. It doesn't arrive like a thunderstorm. It moves more like the sky clearing after a long night. The star, judgment, and the sun together do not just signal hope or healing. They reflect a deeper awakening. An inner reorientation, where the question is no longer, what can I achieve, but rather, who am I becoming and why does that matter? Leo, you were never meant to hide. Your very essence is light. But for too long, the world may have conditioned you to believe that your light had to be earned through perfection, or tempered so it wouldn't overwhelm others. That somehow your fire must be justified. But a deeper knowing is rising now. And it isn't asking for permission, it's simply returning home to you. There is a freedom in realizing that you don't need to shine for anyone else's applause. You shine because it's your nature. Just like the sun doesn't ask for validation, it rises. The star represents not only inspiration, but also the quiet courage it takes to follow your own inner voice even when the world seems to want something else from you. It's the card of clarity after chaos, the gentle breath after a storm. And when it appears with judgment, it suggests a moment of reckoning, not in a dramatic or punishing sense, but in the way you begin to see clearly what no longer fits, what no longer resonates. You begin to notice where you've been living out of habit, or fear, or even comfort. And something in you starts to whisper, it's time to live on purpose. There's a beautiful reflection that teaches us, when the inner fire burns steadily, there is no need for external light. This is what your soul is calling you toward now, not an external version of success, but an internal sense of alignment. You may begin to feel drawn to new studies, healing work, or even creative expression that doesn't make sense to anyone else, but it makes perfect sense to you. You might find yourself waking from vivid dreams, feeling emotions rise and fall more deeply than before, sensing a quiet nudge to speak truth, to make different choices, to let go of even more. That's not you unraveling. That's you returning. The sun closes this sequence with its unmistakable warmth, asking you not just to know your light, but to live it. This doesn't mean shouting who you are to the world, it means living so fully into your values, your joy, your calling, that everything around you begins to change. And the change doesn't come from force. It comes from presence. If you've been feeling a pull toward growth that can't be defined by titles or achievements, you're not alone. Many are waking up to the understanding that real power isn't about control, it's about clarity. You might start to ask yourself more honest questions. What kind of impact do I want to have? What energy do I leave behind in a room? What truth do I keep avoiding? These are invitations, not burdens. And they lead to the kind of fulfillment that success alone can never bring. So maybe this is the time to write your soul's intention on paper, not a goal, but a vow. A quiet declaration of the kind of person you're becoming and the world you want to help build. You don't need to share it. Just let it be real. Let it be yours. The path ahead may still hold unknowns, but with each step you take in alignment with that truth, your light becomes impossible to ignore, not because you're louder, but because you're finally clear. Leo, if you've made it to this moment, I want you to pause with minute to end this journey, but to truly let it land. We've walked together through some of your most powerful energies, the burdens you've carried in silence, the tenderness of your longing for connection, the quiet decision to let go, and the bright flame of your soul finally beginning to rise without asking for permission. This hasn't just been a reading. It's been a reflection of you returning to yourself. Not the image you show to the world, not the version shaped by expectations, but the deeper, softer, more courageous truth of who you are. You were never meant to live behind armor, Leo. Your soul came here to blaze like the sun, not to seek permission to shine. And yet, I know how often you've felt like you needed to hold it all together for everyone else. I know the weight of being the strong one. But the beauty of this moment is that you no longer have to prove your worth. You no longer need to fight to be seen. You already be life itself. So take a deep breath and feel into this truth. You are not standing on the edge of change anymore. You are already within it. The golden door is not ahead of you. It is opening beneath your very feet. The last-minute miracle isn't coming to rescue you, it's rising because you've done the inner work to become the kind of person who is finally ready to receive it. Let that sink in. And ask yourself gently, without judgment, what are you finally ready to release? What story no longer fits? What fear are you willing to walk beyond? These are not just questions for contemplation. They are invitations to freedom. So if something inside you has shifted during this video, even slightly, take that as your confirmation. Write it down. Speak it aloud. Or, if you feel called, share it with us in the comments. What are you letting go of? And what are you now ready to welcome through that golden door? This is not about being perfect. This is about being true. You don't have to have all the answers to begin. You only have to be willing. And from that willingness, transformation begins. Remember, even the sun doesn't rise all at once. It lifts the darkness gently, moment by moment, until everything is bathed in light. If this video touched something in you, I invite you to carry this energy forward. Don't just listen, live it. Don't just feel inspired, act. Maybe it means taking a new step in love. Maybe it means revisiting a creative dream. Maybe it simply means sitting with your own heart and saying, I see you. I'm not leaving you behind anymore. And if you feel connected to what we've shared here today, please help this light expand. Like the video. Subscribe to Eternal Mindfulness. Share it with someone who might need to hear these words right now. Because every gesture of support is more than just a click, it's a ripple. A signal to the universe that more souls are awakening to their truth. Thank you for being here, not just watching, but feeling, remembering, reclaiming. You are the miracle. You are the light. And this is your moment. I'll meet you again soon, in the next chapter, the next rise, the next whisper of clarity. Until then, keep your heart open, your light steady, and your spirit brave. The golden door is open now, step through it, Leo. We're waiting for you.